morning, town of Norwood. Thank you for the incredible honor of letting me speak during today's annual Veterans Day celebration. Before I begin, I want to thank the Board of Selectmen, including Chairman William Blasco, Mr. Paul Bishop, Mr. Alan Howard, Miss Helen Abdallah Donahue, and Mr. Thomas Maloney. I would also like to thank Norwood Town General Manager, Mr. John Carroll, and Norwood Town Assistant General Manager, Mr. Bernie Cooper. Lastly, I would like to thank Norwood Veteran Service Officer, Mr. Ted Mulvihill, and also thank you to all the first responders here today as well. Before I joined the Army, Veterans Day was just a day off from school and a day in which I knew to thank my dad and other relatives for their service. The day carried little weight as I could not fully appreciate what my father, grandfathers, and so many other veterans had done to keep our country safe. It was not until I, too, had the opportunity to serve as an active duty infantry and military intelligence officer in the Army's 82nd Airborne Division that I began to understand the significance of Veterans Day. Now, having served over 5 years in the Army, the question of what Veterans Day means to me has newfound significance regarding how I want to live the rest of my life. When asked to speak about what Veterans Day means to me, I immediately thought back to my United States Army Ranger School graduation in September 2012. Having successfully completed the infamously grueling course and soon to be having my father, a Ranger School graduate himself, pin my tab, I was so humbled and honored to have been given the opportunity to attend that school. Before the ceremony began, our acting company commander had pulled us all aside and told us what wearing the Ranger tab truly meant. You have to earn it. Every day, he said. Earning it every day meant that when I wore that tab in front of my soldiers and fellow officers, they knew that I was willing to hold myself to a higher standard, to be the best representative of the Army that I could be. His words continue to stick with me throughout my continued training, in my positions as a platoon leader and executive officer, and throughout my year-long tour to Kabul, Afghanistan. Those words mean even more now as I return to the civilian world. Like wearing the Ranger tab on active duty, I feel now that as a veteran, I must hold myself to a higher standard as I continue on with my civilian career and goals. That higher standard is not an elitist mentality, but rather quite the opposite. It is a mentality of understanding the importance of service and sacrifice. Now that I'm a veteran, I am part of an incredible community, a family that I will do everything I can to help take care of and to help achieve their goals. Being a veteran means not resting on the laurels of my service, but rather trying each and every day to give back to the community that has given me so much. When I meet another veteran, I have an immediate connection with that individual. Regardless of that veteran's or service member's military branch, MOS, background, or current career, we share a common bond. I know that that person has sacrificed. They have sacrificed time away from their families and loved ones. They have missed birthdays, anniversaries, and other milestones because they chose to serve their country. I know that their family and loved ones have sacrificed as they too have endured and worried about their loved ones serving in the military, whether he or she was deployed or in training. When I meet another veteran, I know that they have suffered through early mornings, long nights, and even longer deployments. They have known levels of fear, anxiety, and stress. They have endured through tough times. Most of all, they have experienced a camaraderie and a closeness with their fellow service members that is truly special. When I meet a fellow veteran, I know that they have experienced all these emotions. Knowing that the veteran who I'm meeting has experienced those same things that have shaped my life, I want to do my best to help that veteran in any way that I can. Whether that is providing them with advice about applying to college or graduate school, using their GI Bill benefits, or navigating the VA system, I want to help that person achieve his or her post-military goals. Reflecting on my own experience, I would not have been able to navigate the challenging transition from active duty military to being a law student without the support and advice of other veterans. I, like many other veterans, underestimated how challenging that transition from military service to civilian life would be. Even as someone who had never seen myself as a career military officer and someone who had always wanted to go to law school, I found myself seeming like a stranger in the civilian world. For my first semester of law school, I felt like an active duty Army officer who happened to be in law school rather than a law student who used to be in the Army. It wasn't until I had the opportunity to speak with other veterans about their process of reintegrating into the civilian world that I feel like that I was able to achieve a better balance. As the distance from leaving active duty continues to grow and I continue to navigate my civilian career, I want to make sure that I am doing everything I can to live up to what it means to be a veteran and as someone who is doing my small part to help the overall veteran and military service member community and their families. Whether it is participating in the VFW events or founding the Veterans Law Students Association at my law school, I am continuing to try to earn that title that signifies service, sacrifice, and caring for other veterans. As a future attorney, I will use my legal education to partner with veteran service organizations, helping and advocating for veterans. Being a veteran and being a part of the veterans community means that I will always be dedicating myself to a larger cause. In participating in today's Veterans Day activities and continuing to want to help the larger veterans community, I am reminded of my many friends continuing to serve in active duty and reserve capacities. Their service and sacrifice continues to allow all of us to live the lives we want to live and to know that our country and communities will continue to be strong. To all of you who have served, who have supported loved ones who have served, who are advocates and allies for veterans and the greater veterans community, I want to say thank you for everything that you have done and currently do to take the care of those who have sacrificed for us all. Thank you for the honor of having the opportunity to speak to you today, and happy Veterans Day. Thank you.